My officer husband, Shin Shaoxing, slapped me to the ground when I was 3 months pregnant, all for his savior, Song Kuer. After 8 years of devotedly fawning over Shin Shaoxing, I suddenly woke up. I calmly went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy, severing the last tie with Shin Shaoxing. A year later, Shin Shaoxing finally remembered me, his so-called pregnant wife. He showed up at my door, laden with gifts, wanting to see me and his child. I chuckled. You divorced me and married another woman, why would I keep your child around to torment myself? I was reborn on the day my military officer husband, Shin Shaoxing, gave all the money I'd saved for having a baby to his savior, Song Kuer, to buy appliances, watching a big color TV, refrigerator, and washing machine being moved into Song Kuer's house next door. I realized the money I'd saved for having a baby was gone. It hit me like a bolt from the blue. I went to find Shin Shaoxing to get some answers, only to see Song Kuer nestled delicately in his arms. Seeing my own husband so intimate with another woman, I was shaking with rage. I stepped forward to demand where my money had gone, and Song Kuer, still in Shin Shaoxing's arms, sweetly replied, Shaoxing gave all the money to me to buy appliances. Looking at Song Kuer's smug face, I was absolutely furious. How can you be so shameless? You don't earn your own money. But you're quick to spend other people's. Song Kuer was crying, her face streaked with tears, and Shin Shaoxing, his eyes red with anger, forced me to apologize. I'd been reborn, why would I apologize? Everything changed drastically ever since Shin Shaoxing transferred Song Kuer to the military zone to be his confidential secretary. Shin Shaoxing would go help Song Kuer every other day. Buying rice and flour for her was a common occurrence. If Song Kuer had a headache or a fever, Shin Shaoxing would be there at her beck and call, even in the middle of the night. If there was thunder, Song Kuer would wrap herself in a blanket and knock on his door, calling him to come and comfort her. As for me, his wife of 3 years, Shin Shaoxing treats me like I'm invisible. My heart was filled with anger and resentment, especially when I saw Song Kuer shamelessly throwing herself into Shin Shaoxing's arms right in front of me. His wife, just to provoke me. That made me even angrier. You two shameless cheats, carrying on with your illicit affair. I'm going to report you to the military district leaders. As soon as the words left my mouth, Shin Shaoxing exploded and slapped me hard across the face. The slap sent me sprawling to the floor, my head hitting Song Kuer's cabinet with a heavy thud. Blood gushed out, and as I lay there, a bizarre experience flooded my mind like a tide. It turned out that Shin Shaoxing hadn't just given Song Kuer all the money I'd saved for having a baby to buy home appliances, he'd also given her the apartment my company allocated to me. I cried and made a fuss, but it was all for nothing. Song Kuer is vicious and despicable, constantly plotting against me. Shin Shaoxing, however, blindly trusted Song Kuer, after being manipulated by her yet again. He used the excuse that his elderly and frail parents needed care to send me back to his hometown, thousands of miles away, to look after them. In the countryside, I toiled tirelessly, bearing children and caring for his parents, all while yearning for the day we'd be reunited. As Shin Shaoxing's career advanced, he never once considered bringing me back. It wasn't until his parents passed away, one after the other, that I went to find Shin Shaoxing and realized we had long since ceased to have any connection. From the moment he sent me back to the countryside, we were divorced and became strangers. After getting rid of me, he couldn't wait to marry Song Kuer, throwing a grand wedding for her. He and Song Kuer spent their days together, deeply in love forever. Since Song Kuer couldn't have children, the child I painstakingly raised became theirs. When I, old and haggard, showed up at their door, Shin Shaoxing avoided me, and Song Kuer brought my biological son to see me. The glamorous Song Kuer threw a wad of cash at me as if I were trash. Moon Yen Yen, for all these years, Shaoxing only used you as a free nanny. I am his rightful, legal wife, so go back to wherever you came from. My own flesh and blood. My son also said, Mom, look at yourself now. What do you even look like? You're no longer worthy of my dad. Take the money and leave. I'll send you money every month for your retirement, but I have one condition. Don't ever appear in front of our family again. My whole life was a joke, used by others to pave their way. The man I loved treated me like a free nanny, and even my own son despised me. Overwhelmed by anger and grief, I coughed up blood and died. Scenes from my past life and the present flashed through my mind. I lay on the ground, staring intently at Shin Shaoxing and Song Kuer. Perhaps the hatred and fury in my eyes were too intense, because Shin Shaoxing, who was busy comforting a sobbing Song Kuer, finally spared a glance for me. Lying on the ground and bleeding, Shin Shaoxing froze, looking at me with half my face swollen and blood trickling from my forehead. he finally remembered I was pregnant. Shin Xiaoxing let go of the sobbing Song Kuer and came to help me. Hatred filled my heart. And I used all my strength to push his helping hand away. Get lost. Shin Xiaoxing didn't get lost. Instead, he helped me up from the ground. You're bleeding. I'll take you to the hospital to get it checked out. Didn't you hear me tell you to get out? If you hadn't been spouting nonsense, I wouldn't have laid a hand on you. I was furious just now. And this is all your fault. Let's go to the hospital to get your wound treated first. We can talk about apologies later, too. As he spoke, he ignored my struggles and forcibly scooped me into his arms, preparing to take me to the hospital. Just then, Song Kuer suddenly collapsed softly to the ground. Seeing Song Kuer faint, Shin Xiaoxing immediately let go of me and rushed to her side. Kuer, what's wrong? Wake up. Don't you know Kuer has a heart condition and can't be stressed? This is all your fault, he yelled at me, losing his composure, then shouted for the guards. Shaoli, drive her to the hospital immediately. Shin Xiaoxing, his face etched with anxiety, rushed out carrying Song Kuer. His bodyguard, Shaoli, heard the commotion and immediately pulled the car around. Shin Xiaoxing got into the car with Song Kuer and immediately told the bodyguard to drive, completely forgetting about me. Bleeding from my forehead, the car roared away. I wiped another trickle of blood from my forehead and stumbled back to my house next door. After bandaging my bleeding forehead in front of the mirror, I quietly began to recall my previous life. After Shin Xiaoxing hit me in my previous life, he also ignored me, bleeding, and only cared about Song Kuer, who was pretending to faint. Furious and resentful, I rushed to the hospital to cause a scene. The consequence was that Song Kuer suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized for half a month. Meanwhile, Shin Xiaoxing put me under house arrest. Because I was pregnant, Shin Xiaoxing didn't confine me, but he did arrange for guards to watch me 24 hours a day. That guard, Shaoli, was from the same hometown as Song Kuer, and they were clearly in cahoots. He was two-faced, deceiving his superiors and subordinates alike. He treated me very roughly, giving me only one meal a day, 2 rock-hard steamed buns and cold water. By the time Song Kuer was discharged, I was completely emaciated, nothing but skin and bones. Shaoli told Shin Xiaoxing that I was on a hunger strike and refusing to eat or drink, and Shin Xiaoxing believed him. He offered no comfort, only scolded me, saying I was unrepentant and should just die if I wanted to. He also warned me that a troublesome shrew like me wasn't fit to be his wife, and if I caused any more trouble, he'd divorce me. I was so madly in love with Shin Xiaoxing that the mention of divorce instantly terrified me. To prevent Shin Xiaoxing from divorcing me, I never dared to make a fuss again. My tolerance didn't change a thing. Song Kuer would provoke me every other day, flaunting how much Shin Xiaoxing cared for and loved her. Song Kuer's words infuriated me, and an argument with her was inevitable once again. Song Kuer set me up again. She rolled down the stairs herself and then accused me of pushing her. Song Kuer is in the hospital again. This time, she's claiming I pushed her, causing uterine damage that's left her infertile. I tried to explain to Shin Xiaoxing that I didn't push Song Kuer, that she was slandering me and staging the whole thing. But he didn't believe me. He told me I was facing jail time for intentional assault. I was terrified. Later, Shin Xiaoxing came to me again and said he'd pulled some strings so I wouldn't have to go to jail. Shin Xiaoxing told me to go back to the countryside to take care of his parents, saying he'd bring me back once I'd had a child and everything had settled down. I had no choice but to agree to Shin Xiaoxing's suggestion. On the day I left, he made me sign an apology agreement. I believe Shin Xiaoxing signed the so-called apology agreement, and then he sent me to the countryside. That was over 30 years ago. Initially, I planned to return to Shin Xiaoxing after giving birth, but his mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was bedridden, needing care. I had no choice but to stay in the countryside to fulfill my filial duty to Shin Xiaoxing. In those 30 years, Shin Xiaoxing only came back a few times to visit his parents. He even took our son to live with him, claiming it was to lighten my burden. I didn't learn the truth until just before I died. The so-called apology agreement I signed back then was actually a divorce agreement. Less than 3 months after Shin Xiaoxing sent me to the countryside, he married Song Kuer. He even threw a grand wedding for Song Kuer, and from then on, they treated me like a free old servant, wasting over 30 years of my life. Thinking about all this makes my blood boil. If I get a do-over, someone else can be their old servant. I'm done with this. Anyway, 3. I'm getting rid of this evil spawn inside me, and if Shin Xiaoxing wants a divorce, I'll give it to him. In this life, I'm leaving these 2 scumbags and living my own life. Since I'm leaving, I need to plan ahead, to secure some benefits for myself. The money I had saved for having a baby has already been given by Shin Xiaoxing to Song Kuer for home appliances. We don't have much money left at home now. But next month is Shen Xiaoxing's birthday, and I prepared a watch as a gift for him. I can sell the watch first. Also, my salary hasn't been paid this month, and I won't be handing it over. And there are the gold rings I happily prepared when Shen Xiaoxing and I got married. Shen Xiaoxing thought they were childish and never wore them, so now it's convenient for me to take them out and sell them. With this calculation, I can get back about 1,000 yuan. Which is enough for my abortion and recovery. My top priority now is the apartment allocated by my workplace. In my previous life, Shen Xiaoxing just gave it away to Song Kuer. That's not happening again this time. I need to sell the apartment quickly to get some money. Clutching my watch and gold ring, I rushed to my workplace, completely disregarding the injury on my head and my appearance. When I showed up looking like that, my boss was quite surprised and asked what was going on. I didn't say much, just told my boss, I'm short on cash right now. I'm planning to sell the apartment I was allocated, so could you please keep an eye out for potential buyers? The price is negotiable. I've always been the easygoing type at work, and I get along really well with both my boss and colleagues. After my boss agreed to help me look into it, I then went off to sell my watch and gold ring. The watch was brand new, never used. I happened to meet a newlywed couple and sold it to them for 50 yuan less than I paid. I pawned the ring. It was 18 grams and I got less than 1,000 yuan for it. With the money from the watch and ring, I went to the hospital and directly explained my situation to the gynecologist. Shen Xiaoxing and I had been married for 5 years and hadn't conceived, so I frequently saw the doctor out of concern. The doctor knew me well, and seeing that I wanted to abort the baby, she tried very hard to talk me out of it. My mind was made up, but in the end, the doctor still refused to perform the surgery. She told me to get Shen Xiaoxing's signature for the surgery. After all, Shen Xiaoxing is in a leadership position now, and if I were to rashly abort his child without his signature, she would be implicated and disciplined. The baby wasn't aborted, and I was in a terrible mood. On the way back, I was figuring out how to get Shen Xiaoxing to sign. In my previous life, Song Kuer falsely accused me of pushing her, causing uterine damage and infertility. Shen Xiaoxing divorced me and married her because of it. This time, I won't wait for Song Kuer to scheme against me first. I'll make the first move and solidify this matter, making Shen Xiaoxing actively divorce me. Once the divorce is finalized, that heartless bastard will naturally and rightfully become a pool of blood. Shen Xiaoxing didn't get back until 9 p.m. By then, I had already eaten my fill, washed up, and was tucked into bed, half asleep. I felt something brushing against my face. A wave of inexplicable disgust and hatred washed over me, and I instinctively slapped it. The loud smack, and the stinging sensation in my palm, jolted me wide awake. A clear handprint was visible on one side of Shen Xiaoxing's face. It was obvious I was the one who'd hit him. Shen Xiaoxing's face was ashen as he stared at me. Moon Yanyan, are you out of your mind? I'd known Shen Xiaoxing for 10 years, and I'd always been gentle, considerate, and eager to please him. You can imagine Shen Xiaoxing's mood after suddenly getting slapped. I rubbed my tingling hand. I just fell asleep and dreamt I was being chased. I couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality, so I reacted. Shen Xiaoxing naturally wouldn't believe my explanation, and I had no intention of making him believe me. He huffed, I just wanted to see what your injury looked like, and you pretended to be crazy and hit me. Moon Yanyan, you've really outdone yourself. I looked at the finger marks on his face and felt a pang of regret. I really wasn't pretending to be crazy. If I had known it was him touching my face, I should have slapped him a few more times. Over there. Shen Xiaoxing saw that I wasn't speaking, and the anger on his face intensified. You actually fell asleep without waiting for me, and you didn't even make dinner. I thought you weren't coming back. And dinner, didn't you eat with Song Kuer? Don't you two usually have dinner together? A sheepish expression flickered across Shen Xiaoxing's face. I shouldn't have hit you today. I was so angry and confused in the heat of the moment. Honestly, you went too far today. You knew I was just helping Song Kuer out of gratitude. You knew she had a heart condition, and you still said those things about her. He was still trying to lecture me. I stared coldly at Shen Xiaoxing's handsome face. Before I realized the truth, before I knew he would do such heinous things to me, I could never get enough of his handsome facade. Now that I know what's coming, I find his face utterly repulsive. Seeing my silence, Shen Xiaoxing softened his tone. Kuer was wronged because of you. Go apologize to her tomorrow, and we'll let this go. What if I don't apologize? When you make a mistake, you admit it. Don't you know that? What did I do wrong? You took money from my savings without asking. Don't I have the right to get it back? Look, how about we just say I borrowed the money from you? If you borrow, you return. Why don't you pay back everything you borrowed from me before, too? Shin Xiaoxing's expression became extremely awkward after my continuous retorts. His salary was already gone, split between his parents and Song Kuer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have needed to touch my money. Shin Xiaoxing reached out and took my hand, trying to sweet-talk me. I yanked my hand away. Shin Xiaoxing, let's get one thing straight. It's your business if you want to help Song Kuer, and I won't interfere anymore. But you will return every single penny of my money. In the past, whenever he used my money, I never said a word, which made Shin Xiaoxing take it for granted. Seeing how serious I was now, he rubbed his nose. Nian Nian, we're husband and wife. There's no two become one in our marriage. From now on, if you want to repay her kindness, I won't stop you. I can promise not to bother Song Kuer again, nor will I comment on your relationship. Just one thing, give me my money back. Shin Xiaoxing stared at me intently. What do you mean? Exactly what it sounds like. From now on, we go our separate ways. If you want to take care of Song Kuer, you do it yourself. Don't drag me into it. I have no responsibility or obligation to help you take care of her. Before, every time I got angry and made a fuss, as long as Shin Xiaoxing said a few soft words to coax me, I'd immediately make up with him. This sudden and uncharacteristic change made Shin Xiaoxing's face fall. Mu Nian, do you know what you're saying? You're a military wife. Helping those in need is what you're supposed to do. Then why haven't I seen you caring for other people in need? There are plenty of people around here who are in far worse situations than Song Kuer and need help. Why aren't you helping them? 4. Being talked back to like that. Shin Xiaoxing completely lost face. He sneered, his face dark. What are you being unreasonable about now? I've told you countless times that Song Kuer and I have nothing going on. She saved me back then, and I'm just repaying her. I've heard it so many times my ears are practically calloused. I cut him off directly. Alright, I'm not interested in you and Song Kuer's business, and I won't care about it ever again. I only have one demand. Give me my money back. How can I get back money that's already been given away? Don't be unreasonable. I'm telling you. I know what you're upset about with me. Isn't it just jealousy? How many times have I explained it? Why won't you listen? Shin Xiaoxing was already extremely impatient, and his tone became much more serious. Mu Nian, you'd better put away your little schemes. I will continue to help Song Kuer. If you don't behave and keep causing trouble at home, then don't blame me for being ruthless. I will divorce you. In my past life, Shin Xiaoxing threatened me with divorce, and I was terrified, scared he'd leave me, scared I'd never have his love, this life. I know Shin Xiaoxing's love will never be for me, only for Song Kuer, so what's there to hesitate about? The moment he finished speaking, I nodded without a second thought. Alright, let's get a divorce. My agreement to divorce was unimaginable to Shin Xiaoxing. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Mu Nian, are you sure you want to divorce me? I'm sure. I nodded definitively. We're getting divorced tomorrow, but before that, you need to give me all my money back. It's always about money, isn't it? Are you obsessed with money? Is that all you care about? Shin Xiaoxing gritted his teeth as he asked me. Yes, money is all I care about. Shin Xiaoxing didn't believe I genuinely wanted to divorce him. You're being completely unreasonable. Let me tell you, Mu Nian, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're pregnant. I'm not doing whatever I want. The child isn't an obstacle. As long as you sign. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow and get rid of it. Seeing my resolute expression, Shin Xiaoxing took a few steps back. Mu Nian, are you out of your mind? How can you even say something like you don't want the child? My firm stance on divorce stunned Shin Xiaoxing. He slammed the door in anger and left. He never came back after that, but I didn't care. I just lay down and continued to rest. The next morning, I was woken up by a knock at the door. Shin Xiaoxing's guard, Shaoli, stood at the door with breakfast, a sour look on his face. The chief asked me to bring you breakfast. Seeing Shaoli, I wasn't in a good mood either, and my tone was sharp. Just put it over there. Shaoli placed the breakfast on the table, his gaze lingering on my face. I stared at him coldly. What are you looking at? You've delivered the food, now you can leave. I've always been kind and approachable, never putting on airs, so much so that Shin Xiaoxing's guards always saw me as a pushover, especially this Shaoli. He's from the same hometown as Song Kuer and completely loyal to her, always subtly targeting me. Seeing me suddenly act so assertively, Shaoli was startled, then immediately became furious. What's with your attitude? Last night, you got jealous and kicked the chief out to sleep in his office, and today, even with him humbling himself like this, you're still not backing down. I'm telling you, Mu Nian, you'd better rein it in. Don't piss off the chief, you'll regret it when he comes after you. Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Just a dog by Song Kuer's side, and you think you're hot stuff. I'm warning you, be more respectful. piss me off, and I'll expose all the dirty secrets between you and Song Kuer. As my words hung in the air, Little Lee's face went pale. He didn't dare say another word and scurried away. Little Lee's reaction surprised me. I only warned him because I remembered how he helped Song Kuer deal with me in my past life, but seeing how flustered and scared Little Lee was, could there really be some unspeakable secret between him and Song Kuer? I secretly became wary. After breakfast, I went to the office again to find my boss, who told me that a colleague wanted my housing allocation quota. However, they don't have much money right now and can only offer me 4,000 yuan. I knew houses would appreciate in value later, and 4,000 yuan was indeed too little, but I had no other choice. I absolutely couldn't let Song Kuer get the house cheap. I agreed to their terms and gave up my housing allocation for 4,000 yuan. Since I'm divorcing Shen Xiaosheng, there's no way I can continue living here. I'll have to quit my job too. Thinking about how things will develop in 30 years. I secretly started forming a plan. I need to get out of here, head south to do business, and be among the first to get rich. With my plans in mind, I soon arrived home. Pushing open the door, I found Song Kuer sitting in my living room. Seeing me, Song Kuer gave a sarcastic smile. Well, look who finally decided to show up. Mr. Busybody, what are you doing here? Just came to check on you. Xiaosheng beat you black and blue, and you're bleeding. As your neighbor, I had to come see you. Right, Song Kuer said, circling me with a smile. She then lowered her voice, spitting venomously. Why don't you just drop dead? You actually tried to play hard to get by bringing up divorce. Do you really dare to divorce him? If you actually divorce Xiaosheng, pigs will fly. Of course I dare to divorce him, provided you give me my money back. Let me tell you, Song Kuer, I have absolutely no problem with you and Shen Xiaosheng messing around. You can do whatever you want. But my money has to be returned to me. What if I don't? If you don't pay me back, I'll report you and Shen Xiaosheng to the military district for having an affair. I'd like to see how you two manage to stay here after that. Song Kuer's face changed. How dare you? What's there to dare? Everyone knows about your little affair with Shen Xiaosheng these past 2 years. He pulled strings to get you transferred here as his secretary. Then he gave you all our family's money. You used my money to buy appliances, clothes, jewelry, and to live the high life. All the neighbors saw it. As soon as the organization investigates, your sordid affair with Shen Xiaosheng will be exposed. Xiaosheng was just helping me. Are you crippled? Are you a dying invalid? I sneered. There are so many people around who need help more than you do. Why would Shen Xiaosheng help only you and no one else? You two are alone. A man and a woman, engaging in illicit affairs. The public's eyes are sharp. Everyone sees it clearly. Song Kuer was a little scared. What exactly do you want? Do you know this will ruin Xiaosheng? 5. I know. What's that got to do with me? I sneered, looking at Song Kuer. You've got 3 days. Give me back my money, or you and Shen Xiaosheng will be utterly ruined. Song Kuer left in a huff, throwing threats over her shoulder and telling me to wait, and wait I will, with bated breath, if I don't provoke her a little. How else will she make her move sooner? I'm just waiting for Song Kuer's dirty tricks. This time, we'll see who bites the dust faster. The next 2 days were pretty quiet. Shen Xiaosheng stayed in the army dorms and didn't come back. I know he's waiting for me to go apologize and make up with him. Yeah, right. Like that's gonna happen. I don't have time to deal with him. I've been busy taking care of things. Since I'm breaking up with Shen Xiaosheng for good, I'm certainly not going to make things easy for him and Song Kuer. I sold everything I bought for the house that could be sold. Anything that couldn't be sold, I gave away. I gave the new clothes I bought, along with the sweater I knitted for Shen Xiaosheng, to Director Zhang's wife from the East End. She was so grateful she held my hand and chatted with me. Sister-in-law Zhang asked me, hasn't your commander Shen been home these past few days? I nodded. And Sister Zhang looked at me with sympathy. Nian Nian, you're a good person, and good people often get taken advantage of. There are some things I don't want to say, but I just can't stand to see you being treated like this. That Song Kuer, she's no good. You need to be careful around her. I know. I don't care anymore. Let them do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me. But you're pregnant. Even if it's just for the sake of your baby, you need to look out for yourself. And sometimes, no matter how much you tolerate and sacrifice, they still might not leave you alone. Sister Zhang's words hit home. In my past life, wasn't I always the one who gave in and sacrificed for others, only to be taken advantage of in the end? I nodded. Sister Zhang, thank you for the warning. I'll be careful. Even a cornered rabbit will bite, let alone a person. If they push me too far, I won't make it easy for them. Seeing that I was listening, Sister Zhang lowered her voice. You need to watch out for that little Lee next to Chief Shen. His relationship with Song Kuo isn't normal. As soon as I heard that, I immediately pressed, "What do you mean, not normal, Sister Zhang? I won't hide it from you. That little Lee is a real piece of work. He's been helping Song Kuo bully me, thinking I'm an easy target." When she heard me say that, Sister Zhang's expression turned a bit serious. She lowered her voice and said, "That Xiao Li and Song Kuo are having an affair." I saw it with my own eyes. Sister Zhang's words made my heart skip a beat. I immediately thought of Xiao Li's startled expression that day when I told him I'd expose all his illicit dealings with Song Kuo. So, there really is something going on between Xiao Li and Song Kuo. But doesn't Song Kuo like Shen Xiaoxing? Why would she get involved with Xiao Li? I immediately asked Auntie Zhang, "How did Song Kuo end up with Xiao Li, the guard?" I always thought she was trying to hook up with Shen Xiaoxing. I wouldn't know about that. But I'm not lying. When Song Kuo first arrived, I personally saw Xiao Li coming out of her house in the middle of the night, not just once, but several times. Back then, I thought they were dating. Until I later realized Song Kuo seemed to have her sights set on your Commander Shen. Auntie Zhang stopped there, not saying another word. I, however, fell into deep thought. In my past life, Xiao Li always protected Song Kuo, constantly helping her twist the truth to bully me. A big part of why Shen Xiaoxing didn't believe me was because Xiao Li was stirring up trouble. In my past life, I never understood why Xiao Li would distort the facts. I always thought I treated him well, but now, hearing what Aunt Zhang said, finally, it all makes sense. So, Xiao Li was also one of Song Kuo's admirers, wasn't he, fighting for the woman he loves? That perfectly explains why Xiao Li would help Song Kuo deal with me like that. Zhang Sa's words secretly put me on alert, so I started paying closer attention to Xiao Li and Song Kuo, and it's a good thing I did. Sure enough, I found something suspicious. Xiao Li actually snuck off to Song Kuo's house late at night. I'm not sure if they're having an affair, but a man and a woman alone together in the middle of the night definitely doesn't bode well. The helpless and pathetic way they manipulated me in my past life, it made hatred bubble up inside me. I'm going to make that scummy pair pay. I grabbed a basin and a stick from inside the house. I stood by Song Kuo's door and started banging hard, yelling as I hit, "6, thief, catch the thief." The racket I was making with the pot in the middle of the night was so loud that soon all the neighbors were up and running out to see what was going on. I pointed at Song Kuo's house and said anxiously, "I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house. It must be a thief. We can't let them get away." No one doubted my words, especially Sister Zhang, who immediately instructed Director Zhang to take people to block the back windows. The others followed me, squatting by the front door and making a ruckus. After a while of commotion, the door finally opened. Song Kuo and Xiao Li appeared before everyone. I deliberately raised my voice. "Oh, it's Xiao Li. What are you doing at Comrade Song's house in the middle of the night?" I have something to discuss with Comrade Song," Xiao Li stammered in response. "Something to discuss? What couldn't be said during the day that needs to be said at 2 in the morning? Yeah. What could possibly be so important to talk about in the middle of the night? You two aren't." Aunt Zhang raised her voice, and Song Kuo immediately denied. "We have no relationship whatsoever. Xiao Li was just worried about my health and came to check on me." Who would believe that? Nobody bought it. Someone deliberately piped up. Could Comrade Song and Xiao Li be dating? Dating is perfectly normal. No need to be so secretive about it. "No, we're not dating." Song Kuo glared at me with venomous eyes, vehemently denying any relationship with Xiao Li, and Xiao Li also denied it, insisting that he was just worried about the sick Song Kuo and came to check on her out of concern. The commotion finally died down when Shen Xiaoxing arrived and dispersed the noisy crowd. Once Shen Xiaoxing gave the order, the onlookers scattered, and I lost interest in watching, so I prepared to leave. Seeing her protector arrive, Song Kuo immediately burst into tears. "Xiaoxing, Xiao Li, and I are completely innocent. He was just worried about me and came to bring me medicine. I can't believe Comrade Mu would slander us like this." With Song Kuo's tears, Xiao Li also started to protest his innocence. Shen Xiaoxing, his face dark, reprimanded me. "All you ever do is stir up trouble. Why can't you ever do something productive? Do you have any idea how much stress you're putting on people?" I sneered. "I just saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house in the middle of the night and got worried, so I called for help. Is that really so wrong? Besides, you have so many guards. Why is it that no one else sneaks into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night, except for Little Li?" At my words, both Little Li and Song Kuo's faces changed, and Shen Xiaoxing's expression turned suspicious. He's no fool, otherwise, he wouldn't have climbed to such a high position. The moment Shin Xiaoxing looked their way, Song Kuer immediately collapsed, feigning unconsciousness. She was then rushed to the hospital. I sneered, turning back into the house. I'd seen it clearly just now. The look in Song Kuer's eyes was utterly venomous. It goes without saying that she absolutely loathed me. The way I stirred things up, Song Kuer clearly knows I'm aware of her and Xiaoli's affair. If Song Kuer doesn't want her relationship with Xiaoli to be exposed, she'll have to find a way to cover it up, to get rid of me, her biggest threat. I'm sure Song Kuer will make her move soon, and I'm just waiting for her to do something. Now this is where the fun begins. I woke up and went to work this morning, and everyone I met along the way was talking about Song Kuer and Li. There were all sorts of rumors flying around. I arrived at the office in a great mood and stayed happy all day. Shin Xiaoxing came to my office at noon and started lecturing me the moment he saw me. What happened last night has been cleared up. Li was indeed just worried about Kuer having an episode, so he went to check on her. There's nothing going on between them, I scoffed. Whether there's something going on between them or not is none of my business. You didn't have to go out of your way to tell me this, did you? Of course I didn't come specifically to tell you that, Mu Nianyan. You've been completely out of line lately, haven't you? To get back at Kuer, you actually tried to slander her by implying she had an improper relationship with Li. Did you even consider how much damage that could do to a woman's reputation? I actually laughed. I was so mad. When did I ever slander them? I just saw someone sneaking into Song Kuer's house and thought they were a thief, that's all. If Xiaoli was really just worried about Song Kuer and wanted to check on her, couldn't he have just knocked on the door like a normal person? Why act all shifty, like a thief? 7. True love. Indeed, Shin Xiaoxing was still defending Song Kuer. Xiaoli didn't want to disturb the neighbors. That's why he didn't knock. But you, staying up late at night, just staring at Song Kuer, what exactly are you trying to do? I'm warning you. I haven't settled things with you from last time. Don't you dare cause any more trouble. You're hilarious. I already told you I yelled because I thought it was a thief. I've explained it clearly enough. Are you not understanding? Or are you just trying to pick a fight? Shin Xiaoxing slammed the table in anger. What kind of attitude is that? Song Kuer ended up in the hospital because of your tantrum, and you don't see anything wrong with that. I'm not wrong. If there's any mistake, it's marrying you. You want a divorce, right? I agree, let's do it now. You can go live with whoever you want, but before we divorce, you have to give me my money back. Shin Xiaoxing still thought I was the old, timid Mu Nianyan, who only had eyes for him, and he actually glared at me. I wasn't going to put up with him. He wants to make a scene. We'll see whose reputation gets ruined. I started crying, my voice growing louder as I yelled. I've been saving for years to prepare for a baby. And you gave all that money to Song Kuer for home appliances. And last time, you gave my salary to Song Kuer for clothes without even asking. And the time before that, you gave my salary to Song Kuer for cosmetics. My voice was at its absolute loudest when Shin Xiaoxing, his face ashen, came to cover my mouth. I bit down hard on his hand. He clearly hadn't expected me to bite him, and in pain, he let go and pushed me away. I immediately lay down and started making a huge scene. Didn't Shin Xiaoxing call me a shrew and unreasonable? Well, today I'm going to show him exactly what an unreasonable shrew looks like. So there I was, lying on the ground, screaming my head off and spilling all the dirty details of Shin Xiaoxing's despicable deeds. How could Shin Xiaoxing possibly stay? He has his pride, you know. He left, his face ashen. My colleagues and superiors at work had been eavesdropping for ages and were incredibly sympathetic towards me. Several married female colleagues came to console me, and then subtly tried to get details about Shin Xiaoxing and Song Kuer. In my past life, I cared about appearances. When I was bullied, I'd just swallow it, believing family matters shouldn't be aired publicly, and I didn't want anyone to look down on me or disrespect me. But in this life, I don't want to be with Shin Xiaoxing anymore, so why should I cover for him? I spilled all the beans about Song Kuer and Shin Xiaoxing. I knew it wouldn't be long before the news about Song Kuer and Shin Xiaoxing spread far and wide. With all these rumors flying around, I'm curious to see if Song Kuer will make a big fuss or even try to harm herself. That evening, after work, Shin Xiaoxing was, for once, actually home. His hand, where I had bitten him, was bandaged, and he sat in a living room chair, his face dark and sullen. I walked past him as if I hadn't seen him and went straight back to my bedroom. Shin Xiaoxing had never been given the cold shoulder like this before. Every time we argued, I'd swallow my pride and make up with him within 2 hours. Whether it was my fault or not, I'd always be the first to back down. This time, we've been in a cold war for days, and even after I bid him again today, he still hasn't shown any sign of backing down. After sitting outside for a while, Shen Xiaoxing finally couldn't take it anymore. He pushed open the bedroom door and asked, "What's for dinner?" "Eat whatever you want, why are you asking me?" I said, my voice cold. "What's with the attitude, Mu Nian? I haven't even settled the score with you for biting me, and you're giving me that look, and how are we going to settle the score for you hitting me?" I retorted. Shen Xiaoxing was speechless. He looked at the wound on my forehead and was silent for a moment. "I didn't mean to, and I've already apologized to you," I scoffed and turned my head. After standing at the doorway for a moment, he patiently walked in. "Let me take you out to eat. What are you in the mood for?" "Eat what? If you have money, pay me back. You owe me a lot." I held out my hand. Shen Xiaoxing's veins pulsed on his forehead. He looked like he was about to explode, but for some reason, he managed to suppress his anger. Nian, I know you're mad about me helping Song Kuer. I didn't consider your feelings before, and that was my mistake. I promise it won't happen again." I stared at Shen Xiaoxing as if he'd just discovered a new continent. "What do you mean, 8? I've talked things through with Song Kuer. From now on, she doesn't need to come to me for anything. She can just go to security. She saved me before, and I've helped her find a job and done so much for her, so I think we're even. I won't be involved in her affairs anymore. Let's just focus on our life together." What he said sounded somewhat reasonable, but who knew if it was true? I'm not buying it. Anyway, Shen Xiaoxing pulled me up. "Let's go out to eat. I know you need money, so from now on, my salary is all yours." I had no idea what he was up to. I'd never seen Shen Xiaoxing this gentle and considerate in either of my lives. Shen Xiaoxing pulled me out the door for dinner. I ran into Song Kuer on the way. Her eyes were red and puffy, and when she saw Shen Xiaoxing and me, she looked so frail, swaying with every step as if a gust of wind could knock her over. Instead of doting on Song Kuer like he used to, Shen Xiaoxing pretended not to see her and walked away with me. We hadn't gone far when I heard Song Kuer's cry from behind us. It sounded like she had fallen. As I listened to Song Kuer's cries of pain, I silently counted numbers in my head. 1, 2, 3. When I finished counting to 3, Shen Xiaoxing turned his head. Just like before, he rushed towards Song Kuer without a second thought. I smiled. A weight lifted off my shoulders. A leopard never changes its spots. That saying is absolutely true. I didn't plan on having dinner. I just went home by myself. Shen Xiaoxing didn't come back until late at night. He tried to push open our bedroom door, but I had locked it. Unable to get in, Shen Xiaoxing went to the guest room. When I woke up this morning, Shen Xiaoxing was already up too. He'd even bought breakfast. He smiled at me as if nothing had happened. "I got you your favorite fried dough sticks and soy milk." I sat down expressionless and started eating. Shen Xiaoxing tried to explain. "Kuer's health isn't good at all. She's severely anemic." I put down my chopsticks. "Who are you trying to make sick first thing in the morning?" Shen Xiaoxing was stunned by my cold attitude. He moved his lips, and I immediately followed up with, "Don't talk to me about irrelevant people or things. I'm not interested. It ruins my mood." Shen Xiaoxing wanted to get angry, but he held it in, and even tried to explain to me. Nian, I can't just ignore her. She saved me. If she hadn't saved me back then, I'd be dead already. I owe her my life." I'd heard enough of these meaningless words. I put down my chopsticks. "Who you choose to help is your business. I don't care. You owe her a life. But you don't need to keep bringing it up. If you're really torn, then just marry her. I'm ready to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you anytime, anywhere." With that, I got up and left. Shen Xiaoxing sat there, watching my retreating back. I had no idea what he was thinking. Whatever he was thinking had nothing to do with me. After all, before this, in my previous life, he had neglected and abandoned me just like that. After work in the evening, Shen Xiaoxing came to my office to pick me up. He bought groceries and cooked dinner himself, only to realize while cooking that a lot of things were missing. All the pots, pans, and dishes I bought were gone. Only the ones Shen Xiaoxing bought himself were left. He looked like he'd discovered a new continent, saying, Nian, it seems like a lot of things are missing from our home, right? I had too much stuff I wasn't using, so I gave some of it away." "Oh, really?" He didn't quite believe me. After all, everything I gave away was either new or nearly new. How could I not be using it? We didn't speak during dinner. Aside from the clinking of our utensils, I kept my head down the entire time, not saying a word. Shen Xiaoxing kept looking at me. I could feel his gaze, but I didn't respond. Finally, he couldn't help but speak first. Nian, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring?" I slowly drank half a bowl of soup before saying, "I sold the wedding ring." "Why did you sell it?" Shen Xiaoxing asked, surprised. Why doesn't he know? I gave a half smile. Because I'm broke, obviously, I don't have any money, but I need some, and no one's going to just hand it over. So, being broke, I had no choice but to sell my wedding ring. My words silenced Shen Xiaoxing. He knew how much I cherished our wedding ring. I'd constantly reminded him to wear it after we got married, but he always refused, claiming it was inconvenient. All this time, it was just me, ridiculously, unilaterally wearing the wedding ring I'd prepared myself. 9. I pushed my plate away and stood up, ready to go back to my room. I hadn't taken more than a few steps when Shen Xiaoxing's voice came from behind me. When I get paid, I'll buy you a new ring. I scoffed without turning around. He continued, Song Kuer's body is simply too weak for the military. I've spoken with her, and we've decided to send her back to her hometown for work. This way, she'll be closer to her parents and relatives, making it easier for them to look after her. Shen Xiaoxing's words made me turn my head. She agreed. Shen Xiaoxing nodded. She did. Song Kuer is a very reasonable person. She also felt she was imposing on us too much. She said she'd find an opportunity to apologize to you and properly explain everything. I smiled, a hint of something unreadable in my expression. As Shen Xiaoxing continued, Yan Yan, I truly only feel gratitude towards Song Kuer, never romantic love. If my helping her before caused you to misunderstand, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Nothing like that will ever happen again. I just kept smiling at Shen Xiaoxing, and he started to get a little agitated under my gaze. Nian Nian, she's already agreed to leave. She'll be busy with work handovers these next few days, but she said she'd make time to explain things to you. I hope you can talk to her calmly. Song Kuer actually wants to meet with me for a detailed discussion. This is great news. I've been waiting for this day for a very, very long time. I curved my lips into a smile. All right. Tell Song Kuer I'll be ready to meet her anytime, anywhere. Song Kuer came to find me 3 days later. I was already eagerly anticipating our meeting. Song Kuer still looked like she'd collapse with a gust of wind, but as soon as she closed the door and confirmed it was just the two of us, she completely transformed. She glared at me. Moon Yen Yen, you bitch, are you really enjoying finally getting rid of me? Of course, watching you tuck your tail between your legs and scurry away like a stray dog brings me immense joy. The moment I finished speaking, Song Kuer's face turned ashen. You set me up, playing hard to get with the divorce to force Xiaoxing to send me away. You shameless bitch. I underestimated you. You underestimated more than just that about me. I have many other things you don't know about. Shall I tell you all about them in detail? I smiled at her. I know about you and Xiaoli hooking up and cheating. I know you've got your eye on Shen Xiaoxing and want to seduce him. I know you're planning to scheme against me. You came prepared with quite a few tricks today, didn't you? You, how did you know? Song Kuer was startled by my frankness. Her arrogance instantly vanished, and she started stammering. How I know is none of your business. Now, let me guess what you're going to do next. You're planning to fall and accuse me. Little Lee is already waiting outside, ready to rush in when you scream and then claim I hurt you. I smiled and walked closer to the pale Song Kuer. So go ahead, fall down, and scream for help. I'm waiting for your performance. Song Kuer froze, staring at me in terror. I grabbed her by the hair and slammed her head against the nearby table. Song Kuer opened her mouth to scream, but a rag was swiftly and forcefully shoved into it. I casually picked up the brick I'd prepared earlier and repeatedly smashed it into Song Kuer's stomach. Didn't she falsely accuse me of pushing her, causing her to lose her uterus and become infertile in her last life? I'll make sure she gets what she wants in this life. I fiercely struck Song Kuer's stomach, blow after blow. I watched her face contort and change color, saw blood flow from beneath her. Only when I saw her fall into a true coma did I let go of Song Kuer. Then she raised her voice and screamed, "Help, something's happened." Xiaoli was the first to rush in, and without even looking, he started yelling, "Intentional assault. How could you hurt Comrade Song like this? You're so malicious." I smiled at Xiaoli and said, "Stop dawdling, hurry up and get her to the hospital. If you're late, she might really not wake up. After all, she's had a massive hemorrhage from the miscarriage. And losing the baby could mean losing her uterus too." "You, how did you know?" Xiaoli was stunned. "How I know is none of your business. Just listen to me and take her to the hospital. Any later and she'll die. You don't want people to know you're the father of the baby in her belly, do you?" Xiaoli, pale and trembling, picked up Song Kuer, who was bleeding profusely, and rushed to the hospital. I followed them. Song Kuer's uterus could not be saved, it was removed. Just like in my previous life, Xiaoli stayed outside the operating room the entire time, his face ashen. I watched Xiaoli, arms crossed, a smile on my face the whole time. After several hours of surgery, Song Kuer was wheeled out of the operating room, still unconscious. I asked Xiaoli with a smile. Aren't you going to inform your commander? Given Song Kuer's current condition, your commander must be extremely anxious. How about I watch over Song Kuer for you, and you personally go and inform Shen Xiaosheng? How could Xiaoli dare to inform Shen Xiaosheng? He immediately dropped to his knees in front of me. I looked at Xiaoli and said coldly, now you're scared. Why weren't you scared when you were having fun with Song Kuer? And you still thought you could frame me and turn things around? You're dreaming. Xiaoli kept kowtowing, his head bleeding. As I coldly watched this despicable and shameless person, only after seeing him bleeding from the head did I slowly call out, stop, what do you plan to do about this? I'll make sure Kuer leaves here. I promise she'll give up any thoughts and never bother you and the chief again. Oh really? I chuckled a few times. No, how can you leave? Song Kuer can't leave. Please, Xiaoli was about to kowtow again, but I waved my hand to stop him. I have a way to make all your wishes come true. When I got home, Shen Xiaosheng was still cooking in the kitchen. For the past 3 days, he's been like a different person, making dinner every night. Seeing me return, Shen Xiaosheng smiled at me and said, give me 2 minutes, dinner will be ready soon. 10. I poured myself a glass of water and slowly drank it, while Shen Xiaosheng was busy setting out the dishes. He served me a big bowl of rice. Eat up, pregnant women have big appetites, you'll need to eat 2 bowls from now on. I took the bowl without a word and started eating, while Shen Xiaosheng diligently put food on my plate. After eating most of a bowl in silence, Shen Xiaosheng finally spoke. Nian Nian, has Song Kuer come to see you? I've already looked. I nodded. What did you two talk about? Nothing much, I said, continuing to eat. Shen Xiaosheng didn't get the answer he wanted. So he tried a different approach, asking me, did she say when she's leaving? You'll have to ask her about that. I have no idea. After I finished speaking, Shen Xiaosheng's expression froze a little. I continued eating, head down. I knew Shen Xiaosheng must have looked for Song Kuer, but hadn't found her. Since he couldn't find her, he naturally wouldn't know what Song Kuer had told me. He was worried, which is why he came to pump me for information, honestly. He was genuinely worried about Song Kuer. What a shame, I sighed inwardly. Outside, I heard a car, and soon Xiaoli rushed in. Commander, something's happened. Comrade Song is in trouble. Shen Xiaosheng shot to his feet. I also put down my chopsticks and looked at him. Shen Xiaosheng didn't look at me. His gaze was fixed on Xiaoli, on her injured forehead. His expression was incredibly grim. What happened? Xiaoli didn't dare to look at me. Lowering her head and pretending to wipe away tears, something very serious. Her uterus was removed, and she's currently in a coma at the hospital. Commander, Comrade Song, she's just too tragic. Hearing Xiaoli's words, Shen Xiaosheng looked utterly disbelieving. How is that possible? How could something like this happen out of nowhere? Commander, you should go to the hospital right away. As Xiaoli finished speaking, Shen Xiaosheng started to leave. When he reached the door, I coughed. And he stopped when he heard my voice. Nian Nian, I'm going to the hospital to see Song Kuer. I'll be back soon. I looked at Shen Xiaosheng, enunciating each word. Shen Xiaosheng, have you thought this through? Nian Nian, this isn't the time to act on impulse. Kuer had an accident and is unconscious. I have to go see her and find out what happened. Since Shen Xiaosheng had made his own decision, it was out of my hands. I nodded, no longer stopping him. Shen Xiaosheng never came back after he left. I calmly washed up and went to bed. Before going to sleep, I checked my money. I only had 5,000 yuan. That's nowhere near enough if I want to go south and start a business. The next morning, I was startled awake from a dream. I opened my eyes to see Shen Xiaosheng already rushing to my bedside. He grabbed my collar and yanked me out of bed. You're so vicious, Mu Nian Nian. How can you be so malicious and shameless? Why would you do this to Song Kuer? She was already leaving. Why couldn't you just let her go? Shen Xiaosheng's grip on my hand was incredibly strong, making it hard for me to breathe. I clawed at his hand a few times until he winced in pain and finally let go. Mu Nian Nian, you've disappointed me so much. After doing something so heinous, you can just wait to rot in jail. I didn't say a word, just stared at Shen Xiaosheng indifferently. Only after his tirade ended did I finally speak. You don't want to hear my explanation. 11. Explain what? You did such a terrible thing to her, caused her such harm. As a woman, don't you know the pain of not being able to have children? You make it impossible for me to forgive you. Fine, then don't forgive me. Shen Xiaosheng, if I did something wrong, just send me to jail. You're incorrigible, absolutely incorrigible. Don't you feel even a shred of guilt or regret right now? How innocent is Song Kuer? He kept yelling at me for a long time until he was completely exhausted and couldn't go on. Mu Nian Nian, what are you going to do now? What's your plan? Let the police handle everything. If you leave it to the police, you're finished. Mu Nian Nian, This is a crime, and you'll be sentenced. Fine, go ahead and sentence me. I'm not afraid anyway. You're absolutely incorrigible, Shen Xiaoxing roared, kicking over a chair in frustration. He hit the wall a few more times. I watched him with a cold gaze, waiting for him to speak first. He was the one who initiated our divorce in the last life, and it'll probably be the same this time, as expected. After Shen Xiaoxing vented his anger for a while, he quieted down. Nian Nian, I don't want you to go to jail. Do you understand? I don't want you to go to jail. Yeah, I don't want to go to jail either. I nodded. You made a mistake this time. And you have to admit it. Go apologize to Song Kuer sincerely, and then. Just apologize, I pressed. Of course not. You hurt Song Kuer, and that's a big deal. You can't just do nothing and not make amends. How do you need me to make amends? You go hide in the countryside for a while. I'll calm Song Kuer down. Just stay hidden for a bit, and I'll bring you back once I've smoothed things over with her. The exact same words as in my previous life. He completely avoided the topic of divorce, made me sign a letter of apology, and told me to go back to the countryside to rest during my pregnancy and only return once everything had blown over. I couldn't help but laugh. Alright, I promise. Shen Xiaoxing's apology letter was quickly delivered for my signature. I knew it was the divorce agreement, so I signed it without even looking. Shen Xiaoxing visibly relaxed after I signed. Nian Nian, pack your things, I'll take you away. I nodded. I don't have any money. Can you give me my money? Shen Xiaoxing agreed. I have no idea where he got the money. Probably borrowed it. Anyway, that very evening, he brought me back 2,000 yuan. I tucked the money into my pocket, keeping it close. On the day I left, Shaoli brought me another 3,000. This was my money that Song Kuer had originally swindled from Shen Xiaoxing, now that it was returned to its rightful owner. I accepted it without any hesitation. The day I left, Shen Xiaoxing was supposed to drive me home himself, but something came up last minute and he flaked on me. That's probably for the best. I had no intention of going back to his hometown to be his slave. Now that the divorce was final, dealing with a miscarriage would be much simpler. I went to the hospital to get rid of the unwanted pregnancy. Then after a month of recovery, I took 10,000 yuan and headed south by bus. The days of hustling on my own have been a mix of pain and joy, but living for myself makes me give it my all. I'm not afraid of hardship or exhaustion. All I care about is making money. After a year of hard work out there, I finally managed to secure my own shop, purely through my own efforts. While wholesaling goods, I ran into someone I'd met before, a distant cousin from Shen Xiaoxing's hometown, someone I'd only met once. Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin looked at me in utter surprise. Nian Nian, what are you doing here? Do you have any idea how long Shen Xiaoxing has been looking for you? I quietly watched Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin as she told me that Shen Xiaoxing's mother had an accident and was paralyzed, needing someone to care for her. It was only after I called Shen Xiaoxing that he realized I hadn't returned to his hometown. Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin asked me, "Why did you come south to do business?" I smiled faintly. "Didn't Shen Xiaoxing tell you about this? You'd get a clearer picture if you asked him. And your child, they must have been born by now, right? I remember you were pregnant, and Shen Xiaoxing also said you were several months along when you left. 12, the child died, they're gone." Shen Xiaoxing's cousin's eyes widened. I was busy greeting guests, so I didn't continue chatting with her. I never thought Shen Xiaoxing would find me. One evening, after I finished work, he suddenly appeared. He was carrying bags of all sizes, and called out to me affectionately, just like he used to. "Nian Nian." I looked at him indifferently. He offered a smile and said, "I heard you were here. Nian Nian, why did you come here without saying a word? You made me look everywhere for you. Why are you looking for me? Aren't you married? You should be spending your life in loving bliss with Song Kuer, forever and ever. Why would you think of coming to find me?" Shen Xiaoxing's face flushed crimson when I exposed him right there, and to my surprise, he actually looked ashamed. "Nian Nian, I didn't mean to deceive you. It's just that Song Kuer was in such a terrible state, and she was so insistent that you were responsible. I didn't want you to go to jail. For your sake and for our baby, I had no choice but to agree to divorce you and marry her. I never intended to marry her. It was just a temporary solution. I just didn't want to see you go to jail. Didn't want you to suffer." I couldn't help but laugh. "Shen Xiaoxing, do you honestly think I'd believe a word you're saying? Do you still take me for the same fool I used to be?" Shen Xiaoxing's expression shifted repeatedly, and for the first time, he offered a humble apology. "Nian Nian, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Alright, if you're here to apologize, I've heard you. Whether I accept it or not is none of your business. You can leave now." Nian Nian, I want to see our child. I bought gifts for them." His words made me burst out laughing. tears streaming down my face. Shen Xiaoxing looked at me, bewildered, as I laughed for a long time. It truly felt ridiculous. Finally, I laughed until I was tired. Shen Xiaoxing, where do you get the confidence that I would ever give birth to your bastard child? Shen Xiaoxing's face went from red to white, which was quite amusing. I continued to laugh. You really have a beautiful fantasy, don't you? Divorce me, marry your beloved Song Kuer, and then expect me, the one kept in the dark, to bear your children, carry on your family line, take care of your parents, and be your lifelong servant. Don't you think you're utterly shameless? I'm not. You are exactly that kind of person, don't deny it. Otherwise, why would you marry Song Kuer? Why were you so eager to send me away? Why did it take you over a year after I left to even think about contacting me? If you had even an ounce of conscience, you wouldn't have abandoned me while I was pregnant, would you? Let me guess why you're here. You look like you've been through a lot. After all, Commander Shen always has guards with him when he goes out. Where's your loyal, good guard, Xiao Li? Shen Xiaoxing was speechless, and I continued to smile. You picked up Xiao Li's discarded old shoe and treasured it like a gem, and now you're getting your comeuppance, aren't you? Do you know why you've fallen to this point? It's because I reported you. I left a letter for your competitor when I left. It was you reported me. Why? He actually had the nerve to ask me why. Shen Xiaoxing, did you think I left because you tricked me into believing I knew nothing? Wrong. I designed all of this. There's nothing left for me to hide now. I want to see the look on Shen Xiaoxing's disgusting face when he learns the truth. I knew Xiao Li and Song Kuer were trying to harm me. I knew Xiao Li and Song Kuer were having an affair. I knew Song Kuer's story about saving you was fake. It was a joint deception by Xiao Li and Song Kuer. Their goal was to get you to arrange a good job for Song Kuer, but I never expected you to fall for Song Kuer's act so completely. So, they changed their minds on the fly. Shen Xiaoxing's expression started to sour. I knew he was heartbroken. I know you fell for Song Kuer. You cheated on me. How can someone as disgusting and filthy as you deserve to be in such a high position? So, I decided to give you a big present. Knowing Song Kuer deceived you, and knowing your position would be affected, you hurt Song Kuer and Xiao Li, leaving them crippled. And now, you've lost your job too. I took a breath, looking at Shen Xiaoxing's ashen face. This was all a grand gift I designed just for you. Do you like my gift? Shen Xiaoxing's face turned green with rage at my confession, but I just kept smiling and twisted the knife further. You married someone else's cast-off as a treasure, then lost your chance to get promoted and rich because of her, and now you're actually dreaming of getting back together with me, thinking I'd bear your children. What makes you think that? Your big ego. Shen Xiaoxing, furious, jumped up to hit me, but I wasn't going to let him. He's hitting me. Help, assault. While yelling, I gave him a hard kick right in the groin. Shen Xiaoxing doubled over in pain, and people around, hearing my cries for help, started to gather. I accused Shen Xiaoxing of molesting me, and soon, some kind-hearted people dragged him to the police station. Shen Xiaoxing, once at the top of his game, used to be incredibly successful, but now that he's down and out, no one's going to put up with him. He was fined, reprimanded, and detained for a night before being released, slinking away in disgrace. He lost his job, everything he had, and then his mother at home had another accident. Shen Xiaoxing still wanted me to be his sugar mommy, thinking I loved him and would fall for his sweet talk, but I've been reborn. There's no way I'd jump back into that hellhole. Shen Xiaoxing didn't leave. He stayed around, and seeing my business doing well, he even thought he could win me back. But fate had other plans. One rainy night, he was hit by a car and lost both his legs. Shen Xiaoxing is now a cripple, destined to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. This is his karma. He tried everything, asking everyone he knew, just to get me to see him. I've already witnessed his downfall, and I'm perfectly satisfied. There's no need to put myself through that again. From now on, I'll live my best life, and he can wallow in his misery. It's perfect this way. Story 2. My best friend urged me to confess to my childhood friend at the class reunion, but in reality, the two of them were already together. She just wanted to embarrass me in public. As a result, I ended up confessing to the school bully who had secretly loved me in our past life but never expressed it. School bully, surprise. The school beauty has been reborn. 1. While waiting for the elevator at the KTV with Shen Tang, there were boys constantly looking our way. Isn't that the school beauty? Wen Xiao. She looks even prettier in person. She must be a goddess, right? I dream of having a girlfriend like her. I really want to ask for her contact info, but she's too beautiful. I don't dare. Shen Tang stood next to me with a poker face, but the fist hidden in his sleeve was clenched tightly. Suddenly, I realized that she must have been dissatisfied with me for a long time. It wasn't until she saw a familiar figure that Shin Tang excitedly called out, "Gu Xian, over here, here I come, Tang Tang." Gu Xian hastened his steps with a smile. As he approached, I discreetly stepped back 2 paces without making a sound. I didn't even glance at him. Gu Xian paused slightly. Normally, without him saying anything, I would have gone up to him. Despite his obvious impatience with me, "Gu Xian, Xiao Qiao has something to say to you tonight." "Right, Qiao Qiao." Shin Tang nudged me with her elbow, signaling me to speak, but I pushed her hand away instead. "I know Gu Xian." I turned my head to look the other way. 3 boys were walking over. "Sun Ge also came tonight." "Sun Ge, your new sports car is really cool. When can I drive it?" Our Sun Ge just woke up and doesn't want to talk. He didn't plan to come, but he must have received some news. Hee. My gaze then fell on the boy called Sun Ge. He looked like he had just woken up, his black hair messy over his forehead, one hand casually pocketed, the other idly twirling a car key. Only when our eyes met did his body stiffen momentarily, his eyes slowly lifting, but he quickly avoided my gaze. "Zhu Xuanran, good evening," I initiated. The people around us were somewhat surprised. School bully Zhu Xuanran and school beauty Wen Qiao seemed to have never interacted before. Could it be they knew each other? Zhu Xuanran also paused, his voice hoarse as he slowly said, "Yeah, good evening." The 2 boys beside him exchanged meaningful looks, tilting their heads to the side and snickering secretly. "Wen Qiao." Gu Xian looked at me with that impatient demeanor, as if it were his right. "When did you get to know Zhu Xuanran?" As if to lecture me as before, but this time, I wouldn't comply. I rolled my eyes. "What's it to you?" Gu Xian pursed his lips as he looked at me, his eyes deep. "Qiao Qiao, how can you talk like that?" Shin Tang was the first to come out in defense of Gu Xian. "Gu Xian is looking out for you. He doesn't want you to associate with that kind of person. Why are you so aggressive?" "What kind of person?" I stared at her. "Someone who acts one way to your face but another behind your back, or someone full of lies and deceit. Don't get me wrong, I'm talking about you. Gu Xian and I were childhood friends. And after becoming best friends with Shin Tang, I naturally introduced him to her. Despite knowing my feelings for Gu Xian, she flirted with him behind my back while persuading me to pursue him. Even though I felt Gu Xian's inexplicably cold and annoyed attitude towards me, I never imagined it would be the doing of my so-called best friend. Shin Tang didn't expect me to defend Zhu Xuanran. She hurriedly tried to pull me aside to remind me not to forget to confess to Gu Xian. But I swiftly withdrew my arm from her grasp. Shin Tang, caught off guard by her own excessive force, nearly fell, but Gu Xian quickly caught her with concern. This time, his gaze was so intense, it was as if he wanted to tear me apart. "Wen Qiao, what are you doing?" "Apologize to Tang Tang," he demanded, his voice harsh and loud enough to draw the attention of those around us. He glared at me fiercely, advancing step by step. I found myself retreating under his pressure, but in the next second, I backed into a firm chest, a pleasant scent of sandalwood enveloping me. Instinctively, I turned, my forehead bumping against the nose of a young man. He steadied me by the arms, directing me to face Gu Xian, his palms broad and warm. Zhu Xuanran spoke indifferently, pausing between each word, such a fierce voice, just like my dog at home. He was standing up for me, too. I remember in my previous life at this time, I was reduced to tears by Gu Xian, secretly turning away to wipe them. Zhu Xuanran was idly chatting with his buddies not far away, yet his eyes remained fixed on me. His brows were furrowed tightly, his hand pressed against the wall, veins bulging. That night ended with me being humiliated and rejected by Gu Xian, crying as I ran back to the dorm. The next day, I heard from classmates that Gu Xian had been severely beaten the night before and was hospitalized. It seems it was this young master who had acted. "Brother Sun, don't say that. Your Tibetan Mastiff looks much more spirited than this guy." "I can attest to that, and it's worth much more too," said Zhu Xuanran's follower, swaying over and quickly drawing the attention of everyone around. The elevator doors were open, but no one dared to enter. "What, looking for a fight?" Gu Xian asked coldly. No, Zhu Xuanran corrected. "A fight implies both sides are equal. But I can crush you single-handedly." I believed Zhu Xuanran was not exaggerating. With that in mind, I politely stepped aside. "Mr. Zhu, after you." "Gu Xian, come on, we're all classmates here. It's all a misunderstanding." Shin Tang, frightened, quickly pushed Gu Xian toward the stairwell. She didn't forget to signal to me. "Qiao Qiao, don't be temperamental. Remember why we came here tonight." I really wanted to slap her. In my previous life, influenced by Shin Tang, I confessed to Gu Xian and was publicly rejected. He then took Shin Tang's hand and announced their relationship. branding me as the other woman. Overnight, I went from the envied school beauty to a laughingstock and object of ridicule. Later, I developed depression and dropped out of school. During my illness, I often received anonymous encouraging letters. The handwriting was neat, with just a few simple words: "Keep going. Someone is always here." Each letter came with a blue bellflower. Only after my accidental death did I discover that all those letters and flowers were from Zhu Xuanran, the boy who used to blush every time he saw me, whom I had never noticed before. Thinking of the past life, emotions welled up, causing my shoulders to tremble slightly. Zhu Xuanran seemed to sense my distress, hesitantly calling out my name. Wen Xiao. His tone sounded ordinary, but I detected an unprecedented tenderness. I snapped back to reality. "The elevator is here." I nodded and immediately walked towards the elevator. "Be careful." I didn't notice the elevator doors were closing when Zhu Xuanran swiftly moved forward and held the door open for me, while someone exclaimed dramatically nearby. I bumped into the young man's arms, and in that moment, I could hear my heartbeat racing. His hand was still pressed against the door frame. He was facing slightly away from me, his eyebrows slightly furrowed, his nose prominent, and his lips a bright red. I couldn't help but marvel at how someone could remain so fair and have such tender skin despite playing soccer and fighting in all weathers on the playground. Lost in these thoughts, I arrived at the top floor lobby. The classmates who had arrived early had the music blaring, but when they saw Zhu Xuanran's stern face, they quietly turned down the volume. Actually, I don't think Zhu Xuanran was in a bad mood. It's just that he looks quite intimidating even when expressionless. "Jojo, come over here." Shen Tang beckoned me to sit with them. Gu Xian was also staring straight at me. In the past, whenever he looked at me, I would definitely go over to him, but times have changed. Now, I sit wherever Zhu Xuanran and his guys sit. The two guys seemed quite flattered. "What day is it today that the school beauty would sit with us? The guys over there must be green with envy." Zhu Xuanran's mouth twitched, and he held back a smile as he slapped one of the boys on the head. "Watch your language. The lady is here." Suddenly, I found this bad student known throughout the school quite endearing. We sat there in groups, and throughout, Shen Tang kept giving me meaningful looks which I pretended not to notice. Finally, she couldn't hold it in any longer. "Jojo, didn't you say you had something to tell Gu Xian tonight?" She raised her voice an octave, drawing the attention of the other students. "Jojo, don't leave with regrets. Speak out everything you've been holding back for years about Gu Xian tonight. I want to know too." The amount of information in her words was quite substantial, sparking gossip among the classmates. I nodded with a smile. "Yes, I do have something I want to say in front of everyone tonight." I didn't miss the extremely excited yet envious look in Shen Tang's eyes. "Jojo, go ahead." She could hardly contain herself, her voice trembling with excitement. Gu Xian looked at me coldly, his face full of annoyance. In the silent atmosphere, I stood up, walked in front of Zhu Xuanran, and spoke loudly. "Zhu Xuanran, I've liked you for a long time. Will you be my boyfriend?" The room erupted in amazement. It was as if a depth charge had been dropped, and the place immediately boiled over. Damn, Zhu Xuanran's guy was so shocked he bumped into him. The boy seemed petrified. A flush quickly climbed up his pale face from his ears. He looked at me, his Adam's apple bobbing, and a glint flickered in his dark eyes. "Are you serious?" he asked in a hoarse voice. Of course, I smiled broadly. "What?" Shen Tang screamed, no longer bothering to pretend as she rushed up to me. "Jojo, how can you confess to Zhu Xuanran? Weren't you going to confess to Gu Xian?" Gu Xian. Seeing Zhu Xuanran's gaze dim, I turned around, and saw Gu Xian had also stood up from the couch, his face terribly dark. I chuckled lightly. Why would I confess to him? He's not my type at all. Gu Xian. I had never seen such a look in his eyes before. Astonishment, shock, pain, disbelief, all sorts of complex emotions flashed by as he walked over. "What are you doing, Gu Xian?" Shen Tang almost instinctively grabbed his hand. I laughed and said, "Shen Tang, I should really thank you for persistently encouraging me to like him. But isn't he your boyfriend, right, Gu Xian?" I looked at Gu Xian, who responded in his usual nonchalant manner. "No." Shen Tang, shocked and anxious, tried to defend herself, but by then, everyone had already made their own judgments, especially the girls, who instantly understood the situation tonight. Our class representative, always straightforward, spoke up directly. "It's disgusting how you manipulate your best friend every day. Such people only pretend to be innocent in front of guys." Shen Tang's face flushed red instantly. However, to my surprise, Gu Xian seemed unaffected by it. I suddenly realized he wasn't clueless. He had always silently condoned Shen Tang's bullying and slander towards me. Gu Xian spoke calmly. "Wen Xiao, are you joking about yourself just to upset me? His confidence overwhelmed me. I stared at him and said, Gu Xian, you've been trampling over our friendship, expecting me to heal my wounds and come back to you. Where do you get the confidence to keep hurting me? Do you really think I can't live without you? He fell silent. Zhu Xuanran, as if thawed from stone, stepped in front of me. His earlobes were as red as ripe cherries. Whether she's joking or not, she has nothing to do with you now. But I was serious, I said innocently, blinking. The next second, I pulled Zhu Xuanran by the shoulders to face me and kissed him. Zhu Xuanran's eyes widened, the classmates froze, then erupted into cheers. Can I really watch this for free? Help, this perfect match, my goddess. It turns out the only one who matches the school beauty in looks is Zhu Xuanran, while I kissed him. His breathing stopped, a faint scar at the corner of his eye was now hidden in the shadow of his long lashes. Zhu Xuanran looked at me in shock, his long lashes not even blinking. This only piqued my interest further. He had no idea how attractive his eyes were. It was like teasing an innocent young man. I gently caressed his lips and whispered, Zhu Xuanran, why do you blush so easily? Don't you know how to kiss your girlfriend? His face turned even redder. The young man reached out, grasped the back of my head, and deepened the kiss. This was my first kiss in 2 lifetimes, and I never expected to be so forward. It was impulsive. Seeing him, I just wanted to kiss him. Is this what it feels like to actually start a romance? It seems quite sweet. I slowly closed my eyes. That night, I was in a daze until Zhu Xuanran walked me back to my dorm. As for Gu Xian and Shen Tang, I completely ignored them and blocked them both upon my return. A friendship that's too crowded doesn't need deliberate pushing from anyone. I'd rather walk away myself. 5. Just after I got back to the dorm, Shen Tang knocked on my door, insisting that I had misunderstood and wanting to explain. She said she had no special feelings for Gu Xian. Her tone intensified as she asked, Qiao Qiao, do you really not like Gu Xian anymore? Didn't you say you liked how handsome and mature he is? Aren't you childhood sweethearts? I understood that Shen Tang couldn't accept that the only thing she thought she had over me was already discarded by me. Her feelings for Gu Xian might not be love, but rather a desire to compete with me. Qiao Qiao, can you come out and talk? Shen Tang persisted outside, knocking until my roommate sent her away. My gaze stayed fixed on my phone screen, my lips curving into a smile. Zhu Xuanran had just added me on his contact list tonight, asking groggily, are we really together? I'm very innocent, don't lie to me. I burst out laughing. I found a couple of profile pictures and sent them to him. Zhu Xuanran skillfully made the change. He said, I'm still a bit excited. I said with a smile, don't be too excited. We'll go to class together tomorrow. Good night, my boyfriend. Okay, good night. My girlfriend. It was only later that I heard from his roommate that he was more than just a bit excited. That night, he nearly tore his dorm apart, running into the hallway and shouting Wen Qiao is my girlfriend. Until the early hours of the morning, no one dared to stop him. He only stopped when he lost his voice. Then he took a cold shower and, still unable to contain his excitement, went to the track to run laps. 6. That night, I put down my phone and lay in bed, struggling to fall asleep for a long time. During the period I took a break from school in my previous life, I mostly spent my time taking medication and seeing doctors. I was no longer the envy of others. In the past, I was an excellent student and talented in singing and dancing, recognized as the versatile school beauty and a role model for underclassmen. After I fell from grace, it seemed like everyone had forgotten me, except for him. Zhu Xuanran would never abandon Wen Qiao. Because of him. Slowly, no one dared to talk about me behind my back. Even at the new school beauty contest, Zhu Xuanran officially voted by writing my name. On the day of the school vote, I was sitting by the window at home, contemplating for the umpteenth time whether to jump. My mother, trembling, ran into my room with her phone and said, Daughter, look, your classmates haven't forgotten you. This male student is holding your name. In the live video, at the vast voting scene, Zhu Xuanran wore a black suit he seldom wore, looking solemn and out of place, walking alone to the front under everyone's gaze. He seemed to disregard everyone present, always indifferent to anything. He solemnly placed the sign with Wen Qiao written on it onto the table. That lone, singular vote shone brighter than any other name. In that moment, the sun splashed around, and the young man looked at the sign in his hand, his lips curling up. Forgive my bluntness, but this school beauty contest is unnecessary. The gap is too wide. The host, caught off guard by this turn of events, hesitated and asked, Zhu, are you sure? Absolutely sure. The young man slightly looked up at the camera, smiling confidently. When Zhu Xuanran sets his sights on someone, he will choose her over and over again, 1,000 times. 10 10,000 times, until I die. I stared blankly at the screen, suddenly remembering the person who anonymously wrote letters to encourage me. On one of the letters, there was a drawing of a girl holding a comically looking little dog wearing black clothes and sporting a scar below its eye. On the back, it read, "The little dog will never abandon you, forever fervent and loyal." Remembering the comical appearance of the little dog in the drawing, I couldn't help but laugh. It seemed to be the first time I had laughed since falling ill. My mother, shocked and excited, watched as I finally showed the emotions a normal person should have. She stood there, unsure what to do, and after a while, she came over crying and hugged me. Now that I have been reborn, I will never let down anyone who likes me, nor will I let anyone easily destroy me. 7. The next morning, Zhu Xuanran and I walked hand in hand across the campus, attracting glances from passers-by. Zhu Xuanran's usually stubborn and rebellious bangs hung down naturally today, complementing his dark, large eyes, giving him a strangely well-behaved look. Suddenly, I really wanted to kiss him. Just then, we passed a child eating a candied ha, his large eyes exceptionally bright and adorable. I was instantly captivated. I shyly pointed at him and said to Zhu Xuanran, "Look, I want one like that too. I want to have a child like that with you." I didn't have the courage to say the rest. I figured a combination of genes with Zhu Xuanran couldn't be too bad, right? Ideally, having both a son and a daughter, with the son taking after him and the daughter after me. Zhu Xuanran nodded in sudden realization. "I get it now. I promise, whatever others have, you'll have too." He looked around, then let go of my hand and ran off to the side. "Where are you going?" I was stunned. The young man didn't look back and quickened his pace. "Wait for me. I'll bring you some candied hawthorn sticks right back." "Zhu Xuanran, can you be any more straightforward?" I simply sat down on a bench by the roadside and played with my phone while waiting for him. I was engrossed in a game when I heard footsteps that were neither light nor heavy stop in front of me. "Is that you, Zhu Sun?" The smile on my face vanished in an instant, and Gu Xian, rarely seen smiling, was holding a steaming, fragrant bag of xiaolongbao. "You haven't had dinner yet, right? Here, your favorite nanqiang xiaolong." He handed me the bag, but with a gesture, I knocked the bag out of his hand. "Gu Xian, do you know, I've died once before, both physically and spiritually. What I can't allow myself to do is make the same mistake again. Sorry, my boyfriend will be taking me out to dinner in a bit." I paused, then thinking about not littering, bent down to pick up the bag and neatly threw it into the trash can. Gu Xian watched all this with a smile from beginning to end. "Qiao Qiao, you've always been such a proud girl," I retorted unapologetically, "and you've always been sick." After speaking, I was about to leave, but Gu Xian suddenly raised his voice. "Have you seen Zhu Xuanran get into fights with people after drinking with his friends? Have you seen him in a bar, gambling and drinking with others? Do you know that there are many girls around Zhu Xuanran, and he might just be playing with you?" I turned my head and looked at him expressionlessly. Gu Xian's tone became steadier as he said, "You've never been in touch with Zhu Xuanran before. Wen Xiao, do you really like him? Someone as unreliable as him, worthy of you?" His following words were choked back. I withdrew my hand, and Gu Xian incredulously touched his cheek that had just been struck by me. "You hit me for him?" "Yes." I stared at him fiercely and smiled. "You insult my boyfriend, and I wonder why I didn't finish you off." Surprise and estrangement filled Gu Xian's eyes. Indeed, I used to be extremely meek. I wouldn't physically fight with anyone, nor even speak harshly. Whenever I cried because of Gu Xian, he would disdainfully say that I was just a greenhouse flower pampered by my family, easily brought to tears over trivial matters, and that I should stick with boys who would pamper and adore me, as he wouldn't. But my tears were more out of sadness. Sad because he never stood by my side. "Gu Xian," a scream came. And Shen Tang, who had been hiding somewhere until now, suddenly rushed out, anxiously cradling Gu Xian's face to check. "Does it hurt? Are you badly injured?" "Wen Xiao, you went too far. How could you treat Gu Xian like this?" she prattled on, but Gu Xian was looking straight at me, suddenly interrupting her. "Wen Xiao, you've changed. Thanks for noticing." I pulled out a tissue from my pocket, vigorously wiped my hands clean, and threw it into the trash can. "Gu Xian, let's go." Shen Tang's expression darkened a bit. She pulled on Gu Xian's arm, and forcefully led him away. Gu Xian followed her but still turned his head towards me. He took a few steps and then stopped, his eyes still full of complex emotions, facing their gaze. I turned away expressionlessly. Beneath the camphor tree up ahead stood a slender figure, a young man holding a skewer of candied hawthorn fruit in his hand. He curved his eyes in a smile at me in the soft light of dawn. My eyes suddenly lit up. "Zhu Xuanran," I called out, smiling as I ran towards him. He opened his arms to catch me. I hugged him tightly around his lean waist, secretly thinking how nice it felt to hold him. His arms were long enough to envelop me completely. Ciao ciao. Zhu Xuanran's voice fell gently and softly on my head. You really don't have to stand up for me. I never care about what those people say, I know. But I just won't let anyone speak ill of my boyfriend, I whispered, tightening my embrace. Just as countless times before, when I watched Gu Xian and Shen Tang walking away together, this time, I boldly took Zhu Xuanran's hand in front of them, clinging to his arm like a human charm, letting him feed me the candied hawthorn as we walked toward the cafeteria. It's just showing off a bit when you've found someone you like. It comes naturally. During lunch, I overheard a girl at the next table commenting, "Who would have thought Zhu Xuanran could smile, and he looks quite good when he does." Her friend immediately nudged her. "Hey, he's already taken. He and Xiao Xiao, the school beauty, really make a great pair." That morning, since there were no classes in Zhu Xuanran's computer science department, he followed me to mine. It was a small class, not many people, and everyone perked up a bit with Zhu Xuanran's arrival. But what caused even more of a stir was the appearance of another school tough girl, Ding Luoyan, who used to hang out with Zhu Xuanran frequently. She had taken a break from school recently, and everyone thought she wouldn't be appearing at school anytime soon. Ding Luoyan had dyed her hair black and for the first time let down her usually tied-up high ponytail, accentuating her already sharp chin. She was dressed in a chic white outfit today, the top open to reveal a sexy bandeau inside, causing the nearby boys to blush and unable to look directly at her. Suddenly I remembered. Ding Luoyan had also been voted the beauty of the computer science department, but later she preferred to dress like a tomboy and hung out with Zhu Xuanran and the others. Seeing me and Zhu Xuanran walk in, Ding Luoyan bluntly said, "Wow, brother's son is also attending classes." Zhu Xuanran didn't even glance at her and pulled me by the hand to sit in the back. Ding Luoyan laughed, turning her head with a cheeky smile. "Isn't that a bit much, just because I confessed and you rejected me? Does it mean you have to avoid me like this? We could still be friends, just like before, and I could continue to be your sidekick, right?" Zhu Xuanran snorted coldly through his nose, silently pulling out a tissue to wipe the desk. Ding Luoyan kept talking. This time her gaze shifted to me. "Brother son, I just realized you like this type. But how am I any different now? Why can't you look at me even once?" Finally, Zhu Xuanran couldn't hold back any longer. He gritted his teeth and threatened. "Ding Luoyan, I don't want to be harsh to girls, but you better behave yourself." "Alright." Ding Luoyan giggled and then turned to flip through a comic book on the table. Love and indifference are indeed very clear, if I'm not mistaken. The comic book Ding Luoyan was looking at was of Zhu Xuanran's favorite style. Meanwhile, Zhu Xuanran was frowning at my calculus textbook, putting on a serious face as if pondering the problems. "Do you know how to solve this problem?" I teasingly leaned over to him. Zhu Xuanran glanced at me, his cheeks immediately turning red. He nodded and then shook his head. "Then I'll explain it to you." I winked at him, and his blush deepened. "He's really cute." I barely held back my laughter as I took a pen to demonstrate the problem for him. When I finished explaining and looked up, I found him hurriedly averting his eyes. "Zhu Xuanran," I said, pretending to be stern, "were you looking at your textbook just now, or were you looking at me?" He glanced at me and then cast his eyes down like a guilty puppy. "Looking at you, Zhu Xuanran. If you keep staring at me like that, the teacher is going to scold you." He blinked nonchalantly and said, "I'd still choose to look at you." That image flashed through my mind again, a girl walking ahead, leading a puppy, which gazed continuously at her back. "Zhu Xuanran, this time, I won't let you down again." As the class ended, Zhu Xuanran was called out by a boy who said he needed to talk. As soon as he left, Ding Luoyan came over and sat beside me. Without saying a word, she propped her head up and scrutinized me. I closed my textbook without changing my expression. "You've been watching me during class. Haven't you had enough?" The girl grinned and said, "Wen Xiao, he seems to really like you. Although everyone says you're the school beauty, I'm still surprised he chose you. It's not that you're not good enough, but in my eyes, Zhu Xuanran is the best." I looked into her eyes. They were beautiful phoenix eyes, devoid of jealousy or resentment, but filled with genuine admiration. It was like a telepathic connection between girls. I could feel she bore no malice towards me. I nodded. "I understand how you feel, and I'll take good care of him." Ding Luoyan picked up a strand of my hair and chuckled. "Did you know, when I first met him, I had the same hairstyle as you, and I liked wearing my hair down too." The first time I met Xuanran, I was cornered by a group of thugs, and no one passing by stopped to help me, except for him. He came charging on his motorcycle and stood in front of me. Speaking of Zhu Xuanran, A spark of light appeared in Ding Luoyan's eyes. And her smile grew wider. I still remember his stern profile under the night sky, arrogant and rebellious. His eyes were wild yet incredibly clear, fatally attractive to anyone. He looked at those thugs and calmly told me to get on his bike. That was the first time I rode his motorcycle. Later, I decided to follow him everywhere, so I tied up my hair and stuck by him like a brother. At first, he didn't want me to follow him, but after I desperately fought alongside him a few times, making some enemies, he had no choice but to let me. Ding Luoyan's smile turned bittersweet. I thought as long as I could stay by his side, I would have a chance, but I was wrong. Wen Qiao, you are the first person I have ever lost to. Your presence has utterly defeated me. I looked at Ding Luoyan sympathetically, placing my hand on her shoulder, about to offer some comfort, when Shintang suddenly burst in. She must have heard many rumors around the school by now, and she looked visibly distressed. Qiao, I was indeed with Gu Xian before. It was wrong of me not to tell you, but it was all his idea. I agreed out of helplessness. Ding Luoyan raised her eyebrows with a peculiar expression. Shintang continued, but now I've broken up with him. Qiao, you will always be my best friend. To hell with men. She forcefully grabbed my hand, her eyes brimming with tears. Can we go back to how things used to be? Can we be inseparable best friends again? So, what do you want? I said with a smile. Shintang thought I was as naive as before, her voice trembling with a sob. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. You're the best. Did that Zhu Xuanran bully you? If he dares to make you angry, I'll stand up for you. Stop. Ding Luoyan, sitting with one leg over the other, said, why can't I bear to listen to this anymore? Big sister, they are a couple in a good relationship. Why would you meddle in their affairs? Who do you think you are? Ding Luoyan didn't know Shintang, but Shintang had heard of Ding Luoyan's reputation and didn't dare provoke this well-known tough woman. Instinctively, she stepped back and whispered, I was just speaking on behalf of Qiao. From her perspective, if you don't like it, that's fine, but she didn't say anything. I slowly started to speak. Luoyan is right. Shintang, who do you think you are? I said each word clearly. If I remember correctly, when I was still on good terms with Gu Xian, you were the one who insisted every day that you wouldn't let me be bullied and wanted to confront him on my behalf, but as things turned out, you two ended up together, and I became an outsider. Now, are you trying to do the same thing with Zhu Xuanran? Ding Luoyan suddenly realized and concluded, isn't this just the legendary behavior of a green TB*TCH, stealing your best friend's man? Looks like the big sister here has figured it out. Shintang had faced numerous setbacks from last night until today, and now even Ding Luoyan, a stranger, could pinpoint her true nature. She stomped her foot in frustration and ran out of the classroom. I turned back and exchanged a look with Ding Luoyan, and surprisingly, we both burst out laughing at the same time. Maybe we can be friends, I said. Ding Luoyan smirked. Forget it, after all, you're my rival in love. I don't want to see either of you again. Today was my last attempt for myself. Alright, I lost, I accept it. When Zhu Xuanran returned that day, Ding Luoyan had already left the classroom. The comic books she had been flipping through all morning were now quietly lying in the trash can. The page was turned to the first one, with the clumsy but clear handwriting. Zhu Xuanran, can you please like Ding Luoyan, 13. From then on, every day felt like I was soaking in a jar of honey. Zhu Xuanran pampered me to the skies, listened to everything I said, and like bewitched, brought me lots of gifts every day, as if wanting to give me everything he considered good. His previously arrogant and domineering demeanor seemed to vanish overnight. Not only did his hairstyle and clothes look like a good student, but he also started smiling more, proudly showing off to his brothers that he had a girlfriend, and he became much more talkative. Those who knew him before could hardly recognize him now, but later, I realized that he hadn't changed his impulsive and adventurous nature. He had just toned down his sharp edges for me. Zhu Xuanran even once gave me the keys to his beloved sports car, which I adamantly refused, because I had already received the best gift he could give me. That was the letters he wrote to me when I was most lonely and helpless, and those beautiful yet lonely blue balloon flowers. In stark contrast were Gu Xian and Shintang. Shintang had a bad reputation, almost enjoying the treatment I had endured in her previous life, and Gu Xian had become significantly more silent, exuding a repressed aura. Many times, when Zhu Xuanran and I went out hand in hand, we would just happen to run into him perfectly placed. Although we didn't greet each other, as we passed by, I could always strongly feel a very intense gaze on me. 14. Time swiftly moved to Christmas Eve, and in my past life, I died on that day. 15. This year's Christmas Eve came with a thick blanket of snow, the moonlight bright, and the ground pure white. My lips were chapped for some reason, and I was so upset that I ignored him for half the day, only agreeing to go out with him in the evening. Zhu Xuanran, learning from TikTok, prepared a big Christmas gift box for me, which contained apples and bright red banknotes. I was amazed at his generosity, yet helpless at his straightforward way of expressing his love. The pedestrian street was bustling, with many couples. The girls' faces were all rosy, their hands tucked into the pockets of the boys holding them. Only the straightforward Zhu Xuanran, with his zipper undone as if he wasn't cold, he took my hand and slipped it into his embrace. "Aren't you cold?" I asked him. Zhu Xuanran chuckled foolishly and said, "Not cold at all, I actually feel quite warm." Lately, I had almost forgotten that my boyfriend was once the formidable school tyrant. These days, he always looked blissfully silly, feeding stray cats and dogs, and becoming patient with everything. As we strolled along the street, a commotion suddenly erupted from the crowd. For some reason, the moment I heard the noise, my heart skipped a beat, a bone-deep fear enveloped me, and I shook my head vigorously to clear it. It turned out to be a drunk man who had fallen onto a girl. The girl's boyfriend was furious and wanted to confront him, but the drunk man's friend quickly intervened. The girl loudly claimed it was a misunderstanding and hurriedly pulled her boyfriend away. "Damn, idiots." The drunken man stood up, brushed off his hands, and spoke clearly despite his intoxication. Forget it. There are plenty of girls like her around. Come on, let's go to that bar I told you about and drive there." Zhu Xuanran stopped in his tracks and looked over. Darkness filled his eyes, and fine red veins slowly crept across his eyeballs. Qiao, wait here, I'm going to buy you some chocolate milk tea," he instructed me earnestly. "There's a police station nearby. Just sit here and wait for me. Don't go anywhere." "Okay, I'll be back soon." I felt something was off but agreed nonetheless. After Zhu Xuanran left, I saw the person I disliked the most. Gu Xian, who usually wore white or light blue shirts, was dressed in black tonight. He stood a few steps away, silently watching me, but I had promised Zhu Xuanran to wait there for him, so I wouldn't leave easily. I shifted my position, sitting with my legs boldly crossed. According to Gu Xian, I could never like a girl who was both unruly and sharp. How ridiculous. Once, because Gu Xian liked light blue shirts, I bought many blue skirts. Ding Luoyan liked Zhu Xuanran whether his hair was tied up or let down. Zhu Xuanran had transformed himself into a well-behaved student for me. Now, Gu Xian wore black, a color he once hated, all for me. Everyone changes for the one they like, but little do they know, love itself is an existence that breaks all norms. There will always be someone whose arrival shatters all your expectations and predictions. They may not be perfect, but the moment they appear, a voice in your heart will say, "It's them." Qiao, can't we go back to how things were before? Gu Xian suddenly spoke. Before Shintang was in the picture, I remember in junior and senior high school, Gu Xian used to give me rides to and from school on his bicycle. He was a man of few words, listening as I chattered away, unmoving even at the funniest moments. Perhaps only the wind knew if he laughed then, because I was always popular at school. He said he hated the feeling of being talked about when walking with me, so we made a pact not to act like we knew each other on campus. And after Shintang came into the picture, he would bring only one milk tea when he met up with me and Shintang waiting for him. It was strawberry flavored, Shintang's favorite, but he forgot. I also loved milk tea, my favorite being chocolate flavored. Gu Xian, what do you think? I said somberly. Is there a need to go back to how things were? Shintang only has eyes for you. She's faking it, I can tell. Gu Xian finally admitted. I couldn't help but scoff. Amusing yourself by letting her torment me, are you? A flicker passed through Gu Xian's eyes. Wen Qiao, I just wanted you to tone down your brilliance a bit. You're so dazzling that I always feel you won't stay by my side forever. I'm sorry. This was the first time in my life I heard Gu Xian apologize to anyone. Unfortunately, this apology was too late to mean anything. I think we have nothing left to say. Some people admire roses for their beauty, while others fear getting hurt by their thorns and choose to do whatever it takes to make them wither. Such selfish people do not deserve my forgiveness. Suddenly, a frantic figure ran towards us. Ding Luoyan's face was pale, and she was on the verge of tears. It's bad. Wen Qiao, Zhu Xuanran has started fighting with someone. There are many of them and they've been drinking. Call the police quickly. When we arrived at the scene, I saw fragments scattered all over the alley and faint traces of blood. People were strewn about in disarray, and my heart shattered. Nobody go over there. My voice was low. I had never been so calm yet so frantic. Gu Xian and Ding Luoyan were startled by my expression. Gu Xian still wanted to move forward but was sternly stopped by Ding Luoyan. Wen Xiao, you go. If anything feels wrong, call us immediately. The police and ambulance are on their way. I nodded. I knew that at this moment. Zhu Xuanran only wanted to see me. I walked slowly forward. The ground was littered with many people, all bearing severe marks of being beaten with clubs. I couldn't imagine my boyfriend, alone and unsupported, facing this mob. But he still won. He wasn't unharmed. He just crazily held on until the end. Shen Tang was also there, kneeling on the ground, trembling all over and babbling something. Yes, the drunk man who was harassing the girl earlier was bothering Shen Tang. The boy with her at the time was Gu Xian. Gu Xian couldn't let go of Shen Tang's docile charm, but he also couldn't let go of me, his childhood sweetheart. How could I not be disgusted by such a man? I just couldn't stand how Gu Xian left me again to go to her. I walked towards a less crowded area in a fit of pique, and just by the parking lot entrance, I encountered that group. I was so scared. I said that our school's beauty, Wen Xiao, was very attractive. If they dared, they should go find her. Shen Tang was shaking violently, kneeling on the ground and stuttering, until she finally passed out. Zhu Xuanran, who had been struggling to keep upright on his knees, let go of the wooden stick in his hand and also collapsed. But in the moment he fell, I caught him. Qiao Qiao. I saw liquid falling onto his shoulder. I realized then, I was crying. Why cry? Qiao Qiao. The boy's face was somewhat pale, but he still smiled at me happily. Look, I took them all down by myself. Like a child waiting to be praised, Zhu Xuanran said weakly. Qiao Qiao. I had a very real dream. In the dream, that bald drunk drove into you, and I almost went mad. I remember his face very clearly, so I couldn't help but follow them. When I heard Shen Tang leading them to you, everything I saw in the dream suddenly flooded my mind. I couldn't control my emotions. And just, fool, I suddenly laughed through my tears, whether in my past life or this one. He always goes all out to stand up for me. That him, determined to protect me and not allow anyone to harm me, has never changed. Zhu Xuanran rested his head on my shoulder, and I heard him whisper softly, Qiao Qiao, unlike in the dream, I can finally protect you by your side. I fought back the sting in my eyes and reached out to gently trace the contours of his face. I whispered softly, little dog, I've come to take you home. The last letter he sent me in a past life contained a lengthy message. The language of Bellflower speaks of eternal love and hopeless love. My love for you is eternal, yet I know I may never see you turn back. You surely don't know a boy named Zhu Xuanran, nor would you know that blue was the color you wore when I first saw you. That day, you were wearing a fairy-like long blue dress, carrying a backpack, walking under the shade of trees on a small path. The moment I saw you, my whole world became clear and bright. I had never seen such a beautiful girl before. Pointing at you, I told my brother, is that the school belle Wen Xiao? I must win her over. Ironically, I later realized I was just a coward. I only dared to watch you from a distance, never brave enough to approach. The countless times we crossed paths were actually moments I had deliberately planned, building up courage over and over again. At some point, I suddenly realized that such a dazzling girl belonged to the world, not to Zhu Xuanran. That day, I suddenly felt an overwhelming need to see him. For the first time, I ran out of the house with my weak body, and in my haste, I was struck by a car while crossing the street and died on the spot. Fortunately, from this misfortune, I was reborn. Wen Xiao does not belong to this world. Wen Xiao belongs only to Zhu Xuanran. My most beloved little dog, please believe that this time I will never let go of your hand.